Hi, welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I have a really fun, exciting video that I've been wanting to film for a really long time, and now I'm finally getting to it. But it is my guide and ranking of Riley Sager, which is honestly my favorite thriller author of all time as of now. I absolutely adore Riley Sager. I love Riley Sager's books, and honestly, I sort of credit him to getting me back into reading, because I started reading a ton in the end of August of last year, and guess what book really set me off for reading? Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. So I'm so excited for this video. I'm first going to talk about what I like generally about Riley Sager's writing style in his books. Then I'm going to go in and review the books that I have read so far by him, which he has 4 books out so far. And then I'll be going into my official ranking. I wanted to film this video too because, as probably a lot of you know, he will be releasing Survive the Night at the end of the month, and I am so excited. My husband actually pre-ordered it for my birthday for me, so right on the 29th, as soon as it gets to my house, you better believe I'm going to be reading Survive the Night because it sounds really good. I don't actually know very much about it because I kind of want to go in more blind with Survive the Night, but what I do know is it's about a girl named Charlie who's stuck in a car with potentially a serial killer. So the stakes sound so high and I'm so excited, it sounds amazing. So let's just get into the video. So what I really love about Riley Sager's writing, and what I think is one of his strongest points, is that his writing is just so easy to get into. It's easy, it's not overcomplicated. He sets a very immersive atmosphere from the beginning of the novel, and as soon as I pick up a Riley Sager book, I'm immediately invested. That doesn't always happen with other books for me. Sometimes, I need to get through the setup of the book, but every time I pick up a Riley Sager book, I'm just immediately interested and feel immersed in the story. He also doesn't really write domestic thrillers, at least he hasn't yet, and domestic thrillers are extremely popular in the thriller genre, and I really do like domestic thrillers, but sometimes I feel like there are so many domestic thrillers that I just want to change, and all of his books are not domestic thrillers, so that's really cool. He takes these really cool tropes that I adore, and he takes a trope per book basically and writes a novel based on it. So his first book, Final Girls, is the final girl slasher movie trope. Then the next one, which is The Last Time I Lied, is sort of a psychological thriller, summer camp trope. Lock Every Door is a gothic thriller trope. And Home Before Dark is a paranormal haunted house trope. I love all the tropes he explores, and I love his writing. If you can't tell, I'm just gonna be raving throughout this video. Something else that all of his books do is they play with timelines, so they always have a dual timeline, which is something I personally really enjoy in books. It keeps me interested and engaged. However, I'm usually more interested in one of the timelines, and in the Riley Sager books, I'm always more interested in the past timeline. I will say one critique of Riley Sager's writing for me is that a lot of his characters, his main female leads, do feel pretty similar, and some of his stories do follow kind of the same generic formula. However, I just simply enjoy his books. I really like them, and I can look past that and just enjoy his writing. Let's talk about the books in publication order. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Final Girls, which, like I said before, is inspired by the final girl trope that's in a lot of slasher books and movies, and he's a fan of this genre, so it makes a lot of sense that his debut was this kind of book. This is about Quincy Carpenter, and she actually was in a massacre in college with her friends. They went on vacation to this remote cabin, and someone came and massacred them, and she was the only one who made it out alive. Now, the media has called her a final girl, and also 2 other girls have been named final girls as well. Even though she had a traumatic past, she's living a good life now. She has a wonderful boyfriend and a baking vlog, but everything changes one day when one of the final girls is dead and the other one shows up on her doorstep. This book is the most violent out of all his books for sure. Also, I think his writing style very much improves over his books, and you can tell that this is probably the weakest of his books, just writing style wise. I thought the atmosphere was not as strong in this book. However, I still really like this book. I was very interested in it. I wanted more flashbacks though from the massacre that happened, because when I got those flashbacks, they were really fun, intense, and enjoyable. I also remembered the least out of this book. So I would recommend this book if you love slasher films and also if you like that final girl trope, because I do think this book was really well done. It just wasn't my favorite of his books. The next book I want to talk about is the second book he wrote, which is The Last Time I Lied. And this is absolutely a perfect summer read because it takes place at a summer camp. So I would highly recommend picking up this book this summer. This is the most psychological thriller out of all the books he's written. So if you tend to be drawn to that kind of book, I would highly recommend this one. A young woman who is a painter, and her name's Emma, and she is invited back to be a painting instructor at a camp she attended years ago as a teenager. Now, what happened at this camp years ago was that 3 of her friends disappeared and they've never been found since. So it's this unsolved mystery. And so she reluctantly agrees to go back to the camp because she wants to figure out what happened and uncover the mystery around this situation. Riley Sager wrote the summer camp setting so well. I immediately felt nostalgic for summer camp days because I went to a summer camp as a kid and a teenager. It gave me very American Horror Story vibes for sure. I think the twists were really effective. I did not see them coming, and at first I wasn't sure if I liked the ending of this, but I kind of sat on it and realized that it was really clever, and I do really enjoy how it ended. I think it dragged a little towards the middle of the book, but it did pick up, and the atmosphere just really made up for anything that was dragging, in my opinion. I would highly recommend this for someone who really likes psychological thrillers and feels nostalgic for summer camp and wants a good, tense summer thriller read. I'm so excited to talk about Lock Every Door, which was his 3rd book he published and the first book of his that I read. This is a gothic thriller, and the atmosphere in this is impeccable. Absolutely amazing. This book is about a girl named Jules, and she recently broke up with her boyfriend and doesn't have a job, and she's really low on money and pretty desperate for a job and a place to live. She's offered this apartment sitting job at the Bartholomew, and this is this gothic, prestigious apartment building with lots of famous people in it. And she accepts the job. There are a few rules though that are a little strange to her, but she's so desperate she just takes the job. So basically in the rules, she can't tell anybody she's there or have anybody over. She can't take any pictures. She can't talk to any of the guests. But she still thinks this is a little bit too good to be true because she's going to make a ton of money just living here and not really doing anything. She meets a fellow apartment sitter though, Ingrid, and she tells her not everything is as it seems, and Ingrid disappears. So Jules is trying to figure out what's going on and figure out what happened to Ingrid. This book was so good. I was flipping the pages so fast towards the end. It was so intense. I am telling you, so intense. I was flipping. I had to know what was gonna happen. The twist was so shocking to me. My jaw literally dropped on the ground. And I know that this is the most divisive out of all Riley Sager's books, but I absolutely loved it, and I definitely think you should give it a go. The atmosphere was so good. I felt so claustrophobic in one of the scenes. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give anything away, but his writing style just made me feel so tense and claustrophobic, and he's just really talented as an author because I really felt a part of the situation that he was describing. I would highly recommend this to anyone. If you want a book with a really good gothic atmosphere where you don't know if paranormal things are happening or not, and yes, please go check this out. It is such a good book. Home Before Dark now is his 4th book he published, and I'm so excited to talk about this book. So this is a paranormal gothic haunted house story, and this is about Maggie Holt, who moved into Bainbury Hall with her family when she was a child, and they actually only lived there for 3 weeks when they fled in the middle of the night trying to get away from the paranormal activity and evil that was inside of the house. It was a huge Victorian estate, and her father got a really good deal on it, so they were so excited to move in, but paranormal things started happening and it was very scary. Her father actually wrote a book explaining the events that happened there, and it became wildly popular, and she has some resentment towards her father because she thinks everything in the book is a lie, and she's gotten a lot of unwanted attention from the media. Now she's living her life and she flips houses as a job, but actually she inherits Baneberry Hall though because her father passes away, and she decides to go flip it and sell it, but things start happening in the house and she wonders if maybe there was some truth behind her father's book. The chapters alternate between her father's book and the present day with Maggie. In this book, you're not sure if the house is actually haunted, and it was super cool to try to figure it out along with Maggie. She starts reading through the book and things start happening in the house and they kind of correspond really nicely. I was so interested in the passages that her father wrote, and some of the parts were genuinely scary. I was reading this at night and I genuinely got freaked out, and that hasn't happened many times with a book. I think if you're a fan of haunted house horror movies, you would really love this. This also really reminded me of The Haunting of Hill House, the TV show, not the book. And if you love The Haunting of Hill House, I really think you have to check out this book because it's very, very similar, but still different enough where it wasn't like Riley Sager was actually copying the whole show of The Haunting of Hill House. Alright, so the most fun part of this video is the ranking. So as my favorite book that Riley Sager has written thus far, I will say Home Before Dark, then Lock Every Door, then The Last Time I Lied, and Final Girls. Final Girls and The Last Time I Lied I gave 4 stars, so I obviously still really enjoyed those books. Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark were just on a 5-star tier for me though. I just absolutely adored them. I can't wait to see what his new book will fall on my ranking. I sort of have a feeling it won't beat Home Before Dark just because I am such a sucker for haunted house stories, but maybe it will. So I'm really excited to see if I love it even more than Home Before Dark. Please let me know in the comments what your ranking for Riley Sager's thrillers are. I'm so interested to hear everyone's thoughts on his writing and his books. I love talking about Riley Sager books, so please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments. I've also done some videos already on Riley Sager. I convinced my scaredy cat friend Bria to read one of Riley Sager's books, so I will link that video above. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy reading. Bye.